Hi, my name is Jeff, and this is a video on millscale and how to deal with it. Millscale is that bluish black material that comes on hot rolled steel. It's a byproduct of the manufacturing process when they roll it out when it's hot. Some people think that it's protection for the metal, but there could be nothing further from the truth. In fact, it's iron oxide, a form of rust, and it has all the bad properties of rust, which includes the fact that it will encourage more oxidation or rust. It prevents prevents paint from sticking to your metal, and you can't braze or weld with it. So it's of no use unless you clean off all that millscale. This is an example of millscale, and I'm going to clean that for you. I'm going to make it look as nice as this. This has already been cleaned, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, the best treatment for millscale is prevention. You should never buy hot rolled steel. However, that's easier said than done. It turns out that hot rolled steel tends to be less expensive than cold rolled steel, and you may not be able to find from your supplier the metal that you need in cold rolled steel. So then you have to deal with a millscale. But unlike rust, which comes off very easily with sanding, you can sand all day, all night, and all day the next day and not even make a dent in the millscale. You can use a grinder that tends to damage your metal. It takes a long time. It's still not very effective, and you'll still end up with a lot of millscale all over your piece. So an alternative physical removal is chemical remover, and I'm going to show you a safe, effective way of doing that. And there's two things that you can use. You can use either acetic acid or muriatic acid. Acetic acid is the same stuff that's in vinegar. It's not very toxic. It's a weak acid compared to muriatic acid. But the problem with acetic acid is you have to soak your metal in it for at least 24 hours for it to be effective. Muriatic acid, on the other hand, is a very strong acid, and it only takes 15 to 30 minutes depending on how cold it is outside. It's muriatic acid. The other name for it is hydrochloric acid. Like I said, it's a very strong acid. It's the same stuff that people pour in their pools to lower the pH because of all the chlorine that you put in there. It also is what people use to etch or clean concrete. But it's very, very toxic. One drop in your eye and you can go blind. If you get it on your skin, it'll eat through your skin and go all the way down to the bone. And if you're in an enclosed area and there's lots of vapors and there's no ventilation, you can be overwhelmed by the fumes and die. So it's very, very toxic. You need to take a lot of safety precautions. You need to have safety goggles. These are goggles, not glasses. They have, my eyes are sealed so that no drop can get in there. I have thick chemical resistant rubber gloves. I'm dressed from head to toe, and I'm outside where there's plenty of ventilation and I can get away if I need to. Now, I have this piece that I'm going to try to clean for you. Well, it's great. It's pretty long. It's 4 feet long, and it'd be cumbersome to try to treat this. When you treat metal, you need to make sure that it's completely submerged in the acid. If there's any oxygen from the air that's also on there, that's because you don't have it completely covered up. Ironically, not only does it remove the millscale, but then it also predisposes it to rust. So you need to make sure that it's completely submerged. That can be a little bit difficult. I thought about how to do this with this piece of tubing, and every idea that I had was not very good. You need to make sure that you use a plastic container. You can't use wood or metal because it'll eat right through there. And a big open container, I thought about a planter box, would expose me to a lot of fumes, and I'd also use a lot of muriatic acid. Turns out it's very expensive, so I wanted to eliminate all those fumes, and I also wanted to use as little as possible. So then I began to think, and it came to me that I should use PVC tubing. This is a 5-foot piece of PVC tubing. On the end of it, I've cemented a cap on the end of it, and it is resistant to all that nasty acid. When I take my piece of metal and I stick it in there, the metal, this is just small enough for my metal to fit into. The metal rod takes up a lot of volume in here and is going to protect is going to reduce the amount of muriatic acid that I'm going to use. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take a plastic bucket. Again, you need to make sure it's plastic. Here it is right here. Sorry you can't see it. It's plastic, not metal, not wood. I'm going to lean it up there. I'm going to use, again, a plastic funnel right there. Get a little step stool because I'm not that tall. I have all my protective gear. I'm outside. I get up here so I can see what I'm doing, and I pour that in. Set it up against the wall and I let it sit for 15 to 30 minutes. I make sure that there are no children or pets around, and I make sure it's nice and stable. And then in case there's a leak down where my cap is, I have it in that plastic bucket. So we'll be back in 30 minutes to show you the results of this and how to neutralize it. Hi, I'm back, and my metal has been soaking in this muriatic acid. Spin a little bit every once in a while to get some of that mill scale taken off and get more contact with the acid. Now what I'm going to do is show you how easy it is to transfer this to a bucket. I'm going to pour this into a reuse bucket. I can reuse that again for another piece of pipe, and you'll notice that I can be a long ways away from it. Pour it out nice and slow. Don't have to worry about a lot of being close to it with a lot of fumes. I'm a long ways away. Pour it out. Drain off all the muriatic acid that's on there. Now I'm going to just fill this up with some water. I'm going to pour that water into another bucket, which I'm going to be my waste bucket. I have a little bit of residual muriatic acid that's still in there. I'll come back to that waste bucket later. Now I can take this out. Now this tube I have another tube that's a little bit bigger. This is 1.25 inches. Give it a little bit more volume. Again, I fill that up with water, but only about halfway. Now I need it to neutralize that muriatic acid, because if you don't, it's going to rust. And so I'm going to use some baking soda to do that. Sodium bicarbonate. That ought to be enough for that residual amount that's in there. Fill it all the way up now with water. Spin it around in there. Muriatic acid, if left on there and not neutralized, will rust my metal. But the same thing goes for sodium bicarbonate. If you leave that on there, it will rust. I spin this around probably for about 30 seconds. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this back into my waste bucket that had that residual muriatic acid and that sodium bicarbonate in there. That's in this fluid should neutralize any remaining muriatic acid that's in there. I take this out, it's nice and safe, I can handle it without any problems, but now it needs to be rinsed. So like I said, I need to get rid of that sodium bicarbonate, otherwise it'll make my metal rust, so you got to make sure that you rinse it really, really good, both inside and out, of course. And you don't have to worry about that getting anywhere because it's just sodium bicarbonate. It's a baking product. You can eat it if you want. But like I said, if you leave it on your metal, it too will rust it. Anyways, now this is my nice clean piece of metal with all the mill scale gone, and with this now I can do whatever I want to it. I can braze, weld, or paint it. What I'll do is I need to wipe all that water off and dry out the inside either with a hairdryer or compressed air, and I'm ready to go. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you saw any mistakes that I made, I would appreciate some helpful, friendly comments and about how I might learn and improve, and I thank you for watching.